Okay, today this is the red 2000 Freightliner, and we're going to do the inspection on the fifth wheel mounting for the truck. So a commonly overlooked thing is the fifth wheel's checked for like the jaws locking and the wear there, but the fifth wheel is mounted on rubber bushings with two side pins, one on each side that goes through the fifth wheel to the attaching plate. So on this truck, there's way amount of excessive play in that, so that would be a thing that you would flag and say that those bushings and probably pins need to be replaced to repair that. So you just got to put a pry bar in it and then pry on it, check the movement. Different fifth wheels give you a different specification as to the amount of movement, but that's way excessive for this one. Moving on to the slide mechanism. Not all trucks have a fifth wheel that slides. The actual benefit to that would be if I can move the fifth wheel closer to the front or closer to the back on the truck, I can change how much weight is on each axle. One of the problems with a fixed fifth wheel, like the Red International we have here in the shop has on it, it's not adjustable without removing bolts and repositioning and tightening and torquing the bolts back down. So a company that hauls the exact same load every time can use a fixed fifth wheel because nothing ever changes once they figure out where it needs to be set to balance the weight on the truck to keep you legal. Then there's no need to move it. If you're hauling different freight, then you may need to reposition the trailer because the trailer may be heavier loaded on the front, putting less weight on the back of the trailer. So you may have to reposition things to get the weight distribution right. So DOT, instead of weighing the whole truck like they used to do, now they have scales in a vehicle, so they pull a truck over and they can set up set of scales in front of an axle and have you drive up on it, so they weigh each axle to see if it's overloaded and they can write more tickets. You may be under 80,000 pounds, but because of where the fifth wheel is setting, you may be overloaded on the back axle of the truck and not enough on this axle or the front. So if you slide the trailer forward a little, it puts more of that weight down the frame further and transfers some of the weight off of that rear axle to get it legal, so that that way you don't get tickets on the side of the road. Okay. So it is a slide mechanism. You've got all these little channels down the side where the fifth wheel can slide back and forth. A little hard to see on this video, but there's a air cylinder here on each side. That air cylinder has a plunger that comes out into this little window in the bracket. You can see the one in front of it, there's nothing here, but there's what actually locks the fifth wheel into place. So there's one of these cylinders on each side. You have a pivot assembly in the middle and an air cylinder. There's a slide on the dash, a little slide valve that says fifth wheel slide lock and unlock. So if you need to reposition this, you'd have the truck running with the trailer on it. You would apply the trailer brakes to hold it in place, slide your valve over to unlock, and it will retract these little plungers with that air cylinder. It's got a pivot here in the middle so that it operates both locks off of this one pivot bar. Then you would easily pull the truck forward or backward, whichever way you're wanting it to slide, and then unlock it and then lock it back in. It's kind of like a door shutting. These are spring loaded, so when they line up with one of these little windows, they'll lock in, but you want to come back and make sure that it is latched on both sides, that it's not a little bit angled where you just have one lock holding it, because that could be problematic, of course. And one of the biggest problems we have with this setup is this little air hose. As it rides down the road, you can see where it's been wearing the paint. Most of the time you'll find a little rubbed hole in the bottom of that line, which is what this truck has right there. When you try to slide the fifth wheel, flip the lever, all your air blows out right here and it doesn't release the sliding fifth wheel. So always inspect that air line really well, make sure that it's not got a hole rubbed in it right there, because it's nylon and over time it will wear a hole in it.